Hey everyone, it's David Sirota. So we've often heard that there's supposedly a connection between tax cuts and economic growth, tax cuts and jobs. We've heard that over and over and over again, no matter how much the economy tries to intervene and debunk that idea. I mean, let's remember, George W. Bush passed some of the biggest tax cuts in American history, and we witnessed a decade of some of the slowest economic growth in American history after those huge tax cuts. And yet the talking point continues. You hear it all the time. Well, there's a new study out that tries to debunk it in a more granular way, as opposed to just the macro economy, the Bush tax cuts, and the Bush economy. There's a new study out that looks at it on a state-by-state basis, and it finds, in fact, that there aren't necessarily links between low tax rates and economic growth. The study compared states with no income taxes to states that tax the rich pretty heavily. And the study's authors, this is from the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, what they found was that zero-income tax states are producing poorer returns, economic growth returns, than the heavily taxed states. And they're putting more of a tax burden on the poor, which that's pretty obvious. That's what happens when you don't have a progressive income tax rate. Typically, that puts more of the tax burden on lower income people. But this is about economic growth, because you hear it all the time. That tax cuts are going to be better for the economy. Lower taxes are supposedly better for the economy. Here's what they found. They compared 9 states without personal income taxes, which included Florida, Texas, Washington, and the like, to the 9 states with the highest top marginal income tax rates over the last decade. States like California, New York, and Oregon. And they found that states with the highest top tax rates outperformed the states without income taxes in per capita GDP growth, 25.8% to 17.4% between 2006 and 2016. The highly taxed states also generated slightly higher levels of per capita personal income growth, disposable personal income growth, and personal consumption growth, as well as prime age employment, which is a measure of the job market. So what we have here is a look back at a decade on a state-by-state basis, looking at whether zero income tax rates actually spurred the better economic growth that conservatives often say will come, as opposed to states, and they are Democratic, liberal blue states, that have some of the highest income tax rates in the country. So this study really seems to debunk the idea that there is a connection between low tax rates, low income tax rates, and economic growth. Now you're hearing a lot of the assertions about the alleged connection between tax rates and economic growth in light of President Trump's tax proposal and the Republicans' tax proposal to cut taxes on corporations, cut taxes for the wealthy. And you're hearing this over and over again, that that's the way we can kickstart the economy. But the data actually prove that that's not necessarily the case. Now, clearly, there are a lot of different factors that go into economic growth. But this notion that tax cuts equal economic growth has been debunked over and over and over again, and now even at the state level in a granular way with data over an entire decade.